Alan Ritchson is the only one who can save this dying $855 million action franchise, and it would reunite him with Jason Statham. Alan Ritchson is a perfect fit for the Expendables. Alan Ritchson and Jason Statham didn't meet each other in Fast X. The Expendables is a dying franchise in desperate need of a new direction. It's not hyperbolic to say that the Expendables films are in trouble after making a massive splash in 2015 and reviving interest in old-school action films, specifically those made in the 80s and 90s. The Expendables slowly faded into irrelevance. This wasn't just because of audiences' shifting preferences when it comes to action cinema, but the franchise's lack of focus and its failure to adapt. While it could be debated if there's a demand or need for more The Expendables, something that can be agreed upon is that the franchise desperately needs some new blood. The franchise has been toying with this as early as its first sequel, but it could never pull it off. Surprisingly, the potential solution to the Expendables' woes could be found in another old-school action franchise. Namely, the Fast Saga. Alan Ritchson is a perfect fit for the Expendables. The Reacher star is an action star of the classic mold. Alan Ritchson, the star of Prime Video's hit Jack Reacher adaptation, Reacher, made his debut in the Fast Saga in Fast X. Here, he portrays Ames, the agency's substitute for Mr. Nobody and Little Nobody after the two were taken out of action under suspicious circumstances. He's initially hostile towards Dom Toretto and his family, but he gradually comes around to them. But as it turns out, Ames was never on Dom's side. He was always loyal to Dante Reyes, and he only infiltrated the agency and Dom's family as part of Dante's master plan. Ames may not have been Fast X's main villain, but he was a good showcase of what Ritchson brings to the action genre. As Ames, Ritchson showed how well he could portray both an unrelenting law enforcer and a duplicitous traitor. It also helps that Ritchson has the hulking physique to match the Fast Saga's heightened brand of action and the on-screen presence of the series' established action stars. It's for these reasons that Ritchson would be a great fit for a hypothetical The Expendables 5 or its reboot. The Expendables films are love letters to yesteryear's biggest and cheesiest action films. They harken back to the days of action stars were towering bodybuilders who could mow down entire enemy armies by themselves. Based on his time on Fast X, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and especially Reacher, which replaces Jack Reacher's wits and strategy with an emphasis on Ritchson's implacable size and penchant for brute force, Ritchson is the exact kind of new yet old-school action star who would fit the Expendables. The actor could either be a new Expendable, or be one of their enemies. Even better, Ritchson has the dramatic chops to give the films some extra pathos and emotional weight. The Expendables aren't exactly known for their subtlety and humanity, but some much-appreciated strains of it pop up on occasion. Examples include Tool's regretful monologue in The Expendables, Barney's fury against Violin in The Expendables 2, and Lee Christmas' desire to redeem his previous failure through death in Expend 4 Balls. Alan Ritchson and Jason Statham didn't meet each other in Fast X. The Expendables' next film could give the action stars the crossover they deserve. If Ritchson is cast in The Expendables' next entry, this would mean that he could reunite with his Fast X co-star and one of the Expendables' founding members, Jason Statham. Though both action stars are in Fast X, their characters actually never cross paths. Fast X has a lot of faults, but this is one of the most egregious. Moreover, Ritchson joining the Expendables would give the filmmakers the chance to correct one of Fast X's biggest missed opportunities. As of this writing, Deckard Shaw may not even know who Ames is, and vice versa. When Dom's family finds Deckard in Fast X, they are still under the impression that Ames is just a dedicated lawman who they may be able to convert to their side, not Dante's dangerous lieutenant who's hiding in plain sight. Meanwhile, it's safe to assume that Ames at least knows of Deckard and the Shaw family because Dante told him about his plans to kill everyone connected to Dom. However, he has yet to receive the orders to intercept and/or kill Deckard. With the tentatively titled Fast X, Part 2 now in production, Ames and Deckard may face each other shortly. That being said, it may be more rewarding to see Ritchson and Statham square off in the Expendables' next film. This is because of the simple fact that the Expendables films are R-rated, while the Fast and Furious films get a PG-13 at best. There's nothing wrong with the Fast Saga's more palatable style of on-screen violence, but action stars like Ritchson and Statham shine a lot more in the kinds of brutal and bloody beatdowns that only the R rating can provide. Ritchson has made a name for himself by literally throwing smaller enemies around like ragdolls. Reacher's main selling point is the fact that Ritchson's take on the character is so impossibly gigantic and forceful that he terrifies even the most hardened criminals, terrorists, and assassins. It's worth noting that Reacher's best and funniest way of raising the stakes is by introducing someone even bigger than Ritchson. Statham may not be as imposing as Ritchson, but he more than makes up for this with his fighting prowess. It's impossible to overstate just how much of a generational action star Statham is. Seeing Ritchson and Statham use their opposing fighting philosophies and physical builds in an action film is the kind of battle that action fans could only dream of. The fact that both action stars are also more than capable of acting will give any on-screen brawl of theirs more personality than anyone expects. Ames and Deckard fighting to the death is an exciting fan cast for Fast X Part 2, but, frankly speaking, The Expendables needs this more. The Fast saga's conclusion may have been delayed longer than anyone wanted, but at least it's not dying the way that The Expendables is. The Expendables is a dying franchise in desperate need of a new direction. The Expendables films have been getting worse with each passing entry. As fun as it is to imagine how Ritchson would fit into The Expendables and how the films would homage Jack Reacher, the fact of the matter is that the actor's potential addition is only a temporary solution. Even if they have a combined box office of $855 million, The Expendables films are a dying series in desperate need of something new. This sobering truth is reflected by the film's waning box office and reception. If the franchise peaked in The Expendables 2, as proven by its impressive $314 million haul, Expendables killed it with its measly $51 million take. Many would point to audiences' shifting preferences in action films as a reason for The Expendables' gradual downfall. When compared to the superhero films made during the genre's peak or new age action blockbusters like the John Wick series, The Expendables really feel outdated. It doesn't help that the films are proud of their nostalgia and preference for the action genre's old guard. However, focusing on ever-changing trends and fads ignores The Expendables' inherent problems, namely its lack of focus and vision. The Expendables are, ostensibly, a celebration of old-school action films. What they lack in narrative and character depth, they more than make up for with the sheer spectacle of seeing action stars like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Dolph Lundgren, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and other such legends share the screen. They even brought in action stars of the 2000s such as Jason Statham and Terry Crews for good measure. Despite this perfectly simple premise, The Expendables films were torn between relishing nostalgia and introducing old-school action cinema to a new generation. This fatal flaw is best represented by the film's unwise habit of shoehorning new actors who weren't action stars. Rather, they were newcomers whom the films tried to reverse engineer into action stars. This was particularly bad in The Expendables 3, where Barney fired the original team to bring in newcomers that audiences didn't care for or want. Expendables was even worse, as most of the original cast didn't bother to return. It didn't help that The Expendables 3 killed most of the franchise's goodwill with its softened edge and PG-13 rating, which Stallone claimed was done to reach a younger audience. Because of this, The Expendables slowly lost its core audience's interest and failed to connect with younger ones. Bringing in someone as promising as Ritchson would only be the first of many steps that The Expendables need to take to get back on track. And even then, Ritchson's addition to films that Stallone is seemingly not that interested in anymore, evidenced by his glorified cameo in Expendables, may not be enough to salvage it. Ritchson could give The Expendables a momentary shot of adrenaline, but it's up to everyone else to capitalize on what he'll bring to the fray. All four The Expendables films are now available to watch and own physically and digitally. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button for more update news.